Hi guys, happy June. It is a bit of a rainy day this morning that I am filming, but do not be fooled, summer is here, and guys, summer is my season. I have so many things that I am feeling so excited to work on this summer. I am just letting Mother Nature be my muse, and the world is in bloom, and so am I. Dude, I wonder if you can even hear those birds chirping, because they are chirping in the background as I'm filming this. It's amazing. If you've been following along with my Plan With Me videos, you'll know I'm in a bit of a creative season of my life where I am really leaning into a bunch of creative projects and habits, and it's just such a fun place to be. So come plan June with me. I know for me, I love seeing other people do their little monthly reset routines. I like seeing how other people plan their months, how they set their goals, and just like what they're actually working on. I don't know, something about it just makes me feel really motivated and inspired to work on my own goals. So I hope that these monthly Plan With Me videos can do the same for you. As always, we'll start off with a little goal review from last month, then we'll get into the June goal setting, and then finally I'm gonna take you into my Notion, show you how I do my Notion reset, and set up my monthly dashboard for the new month. Subscribe if you're into this kind of stuff, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off with reviewing the goals I set for myself in May. I'll put them on the screen right over here. Okay, so I only have 3 goals for the month of May, but technically there was a lot more because one of those goals was actually a 30-day challenge that I set for myself. It was a 30-day challenge to reignite my creative spark. I'll be doing a whole separate video on this very soon, but the reason I did this was I had been coming off of a season in my life that was just much more about rest, recovery, getting regulated, and just finding a sense of stability in my life. And granted, these are things that are always important to me. Like, rest is everything to me, but as I'm sure many of us know, getting to a point of, you know, for example, getting that consistent 8 hours of sleep, or just more broadly, consistently having that slow, peaceful pace of life that like keeps our nervous systems regulated, like, that is not easy to set up. I basically needed to set aside several months where I was just being very compassionate with myself and essentially redesigning my whole life from the ground up. I needed to kind of give myself time to establish that foundation of rest and slowness in my life. Anyways, I digress, but now that I have that foundation in place, it is from that foundation that I am now starting to explore, you know, habits that I want to adopt for myself and new creative projects. And, you know, in my case, I had the luxury of being able to pause my work for several months as well. So now I am starting to ramp that back up. So that's the context of what I mean when I say that I am in a season of creativity and exploration right now. I feel like the truth is I'm saying it as if I did this intentionally, but I actually think a lot of people find themselves in a similar situation where, you know, you're just really just trying to get by. And so, you know, you just don't have the energy to be creative and work on habits and stuff. And, you know, you're just in a season of, you know, taking care of yourself, and that's okay. That is good. It is a good thing to take care of yourself and get yourself regulated. And then when you're ready, step into that more creative era. So that's where I am right now. So with this 30-day challenge, really what I've been trying to do is just help myself re-tap into that mindset of being creative, being engaged, this like mindset that I've definitely not been in for the last several months. Basically, this challenge was about getting myself from that focus on just being okay mindset into, okay, well, now what do I want to work on? You know, what does the world have to offer me, and what do I want to offer the world? And that's the thing about when you're in that zone of, you know, just getting by. It's like, you're not going to just wake up one day and be suddenly this like creative, engaged, motivated, like healthy, well person. Like it's not gonna happen overnight. You're not gonna just snap your fingers and be a different person tomorrow. You need time to transition. And so this 30-day challenge for me was about giving myself, I call it a challenge, but really it was about just giving myself that container to transition into this new creative mindset. So here are the different parts of the 30-day challenge that I gave myself. Number one, attend 2 to 3 in-person community events in my local area. I think it's neater to say go to one event every week, but realistically, I just knew that I wouldn't be able to do it every week. Have a virtual coffee date with an inspiring person once a week. Take 1 course. Complete 2 to 3 small creative gigs, journal about the highs, lows, and learnings weekly, and then at the end of the challenge, synthesize the learnings and make out a 3-month action plan. Also rewrite my personal narrative and refresh my personal website. So there's a reason behind every single item that's on this list, but I won't go into detail on all of that now, but you can see at a glance, I did a pretty good job in most of these categories. I didn't finish it all, which is totally okay. And at the time that I'm filming this, there's still 1 week of May left. So some of this will get checked off, but definitely not all of it. And that's the beautiful thing about setting a challenge like this for yourself. And again, it's like I'm using that word challenge, but the point here is not to like make sure you check off every single box. It really is about just creating this container of time for yourself and this focal point for you to really dedicate your time and energy toward this one intention. So while I will not have checked off every single one of these boxes by the end of the month, I have definitely been thinking about this intention very actively every single day basically of this month. Like this has been a daily headspace that I have been in for the month of May. And honestly, I'm just like really proud of myself and very grateful to myself for really committing to showing up every single day to this intention and to this challenge. I am impressed by myself. It is really hard to do anything for 30 days straight, and you'll see, we're gonna look at my habit tracker in a little bit, so you'll see what I mean. But yeah, I really did my best, and I think I really embodied the spirit of this challenge so fully, and for that, I'm so proud of myself. But like I said, I'm gonna do a whole video about this, and if you're interested in this, and you're also in this place of trying to transition from a place of, just getting by and into that more kind of inspired and motivated and creative state of mind, make sure you subscribe because I will be releasing a full video about this 30-day challenge and what I learned from it and how you can do it yourself very, very soon. Okay, so that is the 30-day challenge. Let's go back to my May goals. So that was one of my goals, was just completing that 30-day challenge. So the only other 2 goals on this list other than completing that 30-day challenge were hitting 1K followers on YouTube. Sadly, I did not hit this yet, but that's okay. I did still post 1 video a week, which is amazing, and I feel really proud of that. And the other one is setting up my affiliate links. That's something that I actually have scheduled to finish this week. Like I said, it's still the last week of May at the time that I'm filming this. So those will be done by the end of the month. Affiliate links, if you don't know, that's just like another income stream that a lot of YouTubers and like influencers use to make money off of their content. So that's just something that I want to set up ASAP. But yeah, those are the things that I was working on the month of May, and I feel really good about I put so much effort into really working on that 30-day challenge and on these goals in general, and I'm just proud of myself in the way that I showed up to these goals. I think I was more kind of motivated and focused on my goals this month than I have been in a while. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps my channel out a lot. Okay, let's get into June goal setting. Once again, I'm gonna pop them on the screen over here. I'm gonna keep this pretty short and sweet. I do have a lot of things that I'm working on in the month of June, but they're pretty straightforward. I have 2 top priority goals for the month. Number 1, I'm trying to hit that 1K on YouTube, so I think we can do it. The main way that I'm going to support this goal is being very, very consistent with my posting schedule and even trying to up the number of videos that I'm posting each week. The next one is also a continuation from last month. I want to add another new client for the month of June and just keep the income streams growing. The next one is launching my new season. So this is for the other content project that I work on. We have a new season that is launching this month and I'm very excited about it. I guess it's less of a goal, like it's happening, but the reason that I keep it here is just so I know that this is like a big focal point for me for the month of June, and it just helps me, know that this is something that I should be directing a lot of energy into this month. Next up is refreshing my personal website. So my personal website, this is the kind of like end result of the 30-day challenge that I did in the month of May. I want to kind of take all of the learnings that I gathered from doing that challenge and apply them to my personal narrative and kind of how I talk about my work, and then kind of refresh my website to reflect this kind of new way that I'm talking about my work and what I do. So refreshing my personal website. And then next up, this is one I've been needing to do for basically a year now, and I'm going to do it this month. I am committing to it, is I'm gonna do my wedding closeout. I got married last year and I have a few last like thank you notes and things like that, gifts that I need to open. A few last things related to the wedding that I really don't want to carry with me any longer. So I'm gonna do this wedding closeout. I also roped in my partner. We're gonna work on this together and make sure that we can kind of just close out all the last little loose ends related to the wedding. Are we the only ones who it's just like the closeout process from like post-wedding is just like this extended endeavor? It's like there's this big buildup leading up to the wedding, and of course it's like so much effort to like plan your wedding. We did it ourselves. We didn't have a wedding planner. Then after the wedding happened, it was like a few months of just like, oh, okay, that was like so great, but very exhausting time to like go on our honeymoon and just kind of like recover from how much energy it was to plan a wedding. And then there's just like months of like an extended period of like, oh, okay, we gotta open the presents, we gotta, you know, send our thank you notes, we gotta review our vendors, we gotta, you know, go through the photos and put them in albums. And I don't know, it just feels like there's like a lot of like post-wedding stuff that I feel like no one ever talks about. But anyways, we're gonna work on doing that this month. So if anyone else is like us and took basically a year to do these last little wedding tidbits, you're not alone. And the last one is just reading one book. So I'm actually in a book club, and that book I will also finish this month, but I also want to read a second book in addition to that book club book, because one of my goals for the quarter, if you didn't see my quarterly planning video, I set a goal for myself for this quarter to finish reading 2 books. One of them I'm almost done with the book club, but I didn't start another one yet. So I'm gonna really work on reading a lot this month, which I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing some reading like in the mornings, like each morning, like while I eat breakfast, just like reading a few pages, maybe also winding down at the end of the night with reading a few pages, something like that to like help me get into the habit, because I really do want to read more. This is actually one of my 2024 goals. So this month I'll be really working on developing that habit. Okay, those are my goals for the month of June. Let me know down below what you guys are working on for the month of June. What is a goal? What is your focal point this month? I would love to know. Like I said, I'm very inspired hearing what other people work on, and I think, right, I'm not the only one, right, who's like morbidly curious of like, what are other people doing? Like, what's going on in everyone's lives? Like, what is everyone focusing on? I don't know. I'm always just curious. And anyways, comment down below if you want to share what you're working on. Now you know everything that I'm working on, so. All right, guys, it's time to do my monthly reset in Notion. So this is my monthly dashboard for the month of May, and you can see I've got this kind of cloud theme going on. I've got my goals here. My weekly planner is right over here. Like I said, I'm still at the beginning of this week, the last week of May. And then I've got my habit tracker here on the right. You can see at a glance, some habits I did better with than others. So for example, this represents doing my daily experience tracking. Each heart represents a day of the month. And you can see that I did pretty well with doing my daily tracking, but I definitely didn't do all of it. And so each heart that's filled in represents the days that I tracked. And you can see other habits up here is much less consistent with, but you know, it happens. I think what I'm gonna do is I am gonna change up the habits that I'm working on or focusing on for the month of June. But that's what my May monthly dashboard looked like. And here's the thing, I actually love the layout of this dashboard. I love the kind of blue cloud theme. It feels to me very summery and very much in line with the theme of like tapping into like that creative mindset. So I actually think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this exact same template and just create a new one, duplicate, and change it up for the month of June. Typically what I do, if you're new here, what I usually do is every single month I actually set up a brand new monthly dashboard and do a completely different theme, different colors, different images, and I kind of switch up what's on the monthly dashboard. So it's not like every month is exactly the same. I kind of customize it based on what I need out of my monthly planner each month. But for the month of June, I kind of feel like I really liked this setup for May, and this happens sometimes. Sometimes I make a setup and I'm like, you know what, this this was really great. It worked really well for me. I like the themes and the colors. I still am like enjoying looking at it. And if I still enjoy looking at it, then there's no need to change it. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go back here to my monthly dashboard page. This is where I keep all of my dashboards from previous months. And you can see down here, I actually have a button where I usually click this button to create a brand new monthly dashboard page. So at the start of every month, I'll usually click this button and then I open up this little template for myself that has all of the same kind of general information that I usually like to include on a monthly planner, but then it's all like blanked out. And then I'll go in at the start of every month and just kind of like customize it, design it, make it aesthetic, choose the images, choose the colors, set up my goals and things like that each month. But in the case of this month, because I really liked my May dashboard, I'm actually just gonna literally duplicate this. So I'm going here, I clicked on these little dots and I'm hitting duplicate. And I think I'm actually just gonna duplicate the May template and refresh it for the month of June. So here you can see I've made an exact copy of the exact same template. So just give me a second, I'm gonna blank out everything manually so that way I can then go ahead and start filling out the information for June. Okay, I think I have blanked everything out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and refresh it for the month of June. So for every monthly reset, every time I reset my Notion page at the start of a new month, the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and set in my goals. So all the goals I just wrote out, I'm gonna go ahead and drop them here. Okay, and those are my June goals that we discussed. Maybe I'll like bold these because these are the kind of two main ones that I'm gonna focus on. Maybe I'll just make these, oh, what about that? I'll make these ones blue so I know that they are kind of the main focus for the month. Okay, cool, I like that. Actually, one thing I was thinking about doing, this might not be a good idea. I kind of wanted to actually change this maybe to like a sun emoji. It's a little bit like brighter, still goes with the sky theme, but it's a little bit of like a pop of color because we're really coming into summer in the month of June. And then now let's go ahead and populate this little weekly. So I have a button here that I set up previously. So when I click this button, it actually adds a new week spread. So what I do is basically every single week I create a new little spread like this, and this is where I fill out what my to-do list items are for each day of that week. And so every single day of the month, I will be looking at this dashboard and I will just refresh this weekly section at the start of every week. So that is all set up for the first week of June. Let's see. Okay, so my habits, I think I'm actually going to change out the habits, like I said, that I wanna work on for this month. So the thing with habits are, I mean, we all have so many habits that we are constantly, either we have them as a habit and we don't have to like really work hard to maintain them, or we're working to grow new habits. And in my opinion, I don't think that it makes sense to have all your habits be a main focal point every month, because I just think you can only fit so many things into your brain. Like you only have so much effort. You only have so much like motivation to like get yourself to do something at a given time. So even though I have tons of habits that I try to maintain throughout my life in general, like overall, there's only a few that I kind of focus on each month as like, this is the main habit that if I'm gonna get any habits like done this month, any habits that I'm gonna really maintain this month, it's gonna be the ones that I actually keep here in my monthly dashboard and track. Those will be my focal points for the month. So this month, the habits that I think I'm gonna be tracking, let's see. So vitamins, there are just some vitamins that I take every single day. This I'm actually gonna keep exactly the same. That looks good. Although, what does the month of June look like? Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in the month of June. So I'm actually just gonna get rid of that extra row and just make it 1, 2, 3, 4. I had crossed off these hearts too, but that's because of the shape of the month of May calendar. But this, I think, just 4 rows of hearts, I think is good for the month of June. So each one of these hearts will represent a single day in these kind of 4 core weeks of the month. So, oh, and by the way, this is just like a little widget that I have from Widgetbox, which is just like a free app that lets you make different little Notion widgets. I'll leave a link to it down below. So vitamins, I will be maintaining that one. I think meditating, this, I would not say that this was a habit that worked for me in the month of May. I don't know that I really got the hang of it. I love meditation. It just, I don't know, wasn't necessarily right for me at this season of my life. So I'm gonna get rid of that one for now. But one that I do wanna do daily is I have here reading. So some of my habits are set up to track each day, but then some of my habits are set up to just track each week. So for example, in the month of May, I just wanted to make sure I was doing a little bit of reading each week. So there was 5 weeks in the month of May. So if I read at some point, week 1, I would fill in this heart. Week 2, I would fill out this heart, so on and so forth. But this month for June, I think I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm trying to read a single side book in addition to my book club books. So I got a lot of reading that's going on. So I think I'm actually gonna try to read every single day in the month of June, or, you know, roughly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a full daily tracker for this habit, and hopefully that'll help me kind of remember to do a little bit of reading daily. For chores, this is just another little reminder for me, just each week, am I doing my usual like chores that I do around the house? So just for one for each week of June, looks good to me. Movement, not a huge priority of mine this month, but I will keep the tracker there just as a reference point for myself, just so I can keep a mental check of like, am I moving or doing some intentional movement each week? But it's actually not a big focal point for me this month. And then lastly is tracking. This one I do want to track. This one represents my experience log that I try to fill out. I basically try to do a little bit of a journaling about my experiences every single day, my mood, my sleep. The point here is just, I want to make sure that I'm remembering to go and do that. And yeah, these are going to be the main habits that I'm tracking for the month of June. Yeah, I like that. Got a visitor. Busy? Do you think maybe you're in the way? Okay, and the next part of my reset routine, this is probably honestly the most important part of my monthly reset in Notion every month, is after I set my goals for that month, what I then like to do is in this little section here, I like to roughly break down what I'm working on each week toward those goals. So, okay. Let's see, so hitting 1K on YouTube, that's like I said, just about being consistent about posting every single week. So I don't actually need to put anything in the week by week breakdown, but let's see, adding a client, what does that involve? So in order to, you know, find new clients, you need to actually do outreach. So I'm gonna do client outreach in the first week. I'm gonna do that in the first week and second week, and then I need the latter 2 weeks of the month to actually do that client work. So I won't do any more outreach by week 3 and week 4. So that way I can lock in that client work and then complete it by the end of the month. Okay, so the next one is launching that new season of my other content project that I work on. So for this is already sort of scheduled into my calendar already, but what I will just note down is that, oh, there isn't a week 5 in the month of June. What I will note down is this week is gonna be heavy season prep, and then this week is the launch new season. And I'm just gonna note that down so that way as I'm planning out what I'm working toward with my other goals each week, I just have that as a reference point that I will be pretty busy week 3 and week 4. So I shouldn't really depend on having a lot of free time those 2 weeks. Next up, refreshing my website. So this is, I think, actually something I'll be able to work on pretty immediately earlier in the month. The launch of that new season is happening the latter 2 weeks. I'm expecting to be working on client work those latter 2 weeks as well. Basically, just from this, what I'm seeing is I have a heavier bottom half of June and a little bit more time at the beginning half of June. So that's gonna be a good time for me to work on my website refresh. I'll kind of budget myself maybe 2 weeks to work on that. So maybe here I'll publish updated website. So basically I have 1 week to work on it, and by the second week I want to publish it, and that will allow me to make sure that I accomplish that goal. Next is the wedding closeout. So this is actually something that me and my partner already talked about doing in week 2. So wedding closeout, we've put like a calendar hold, and then I'm also just gonna set aside a little bit of time around week 3 to just final wedding tasks, just in case there's any follow-ups from that session. I'll have the time to do that in week 3. And lastly is reading a book. This is actually gonna be tracked via this habit tracker, so I don't actually need to insert anything into my week by week breakdown, but you can see how taking the goals and actually thinking about when in the month am I gonna do these things, when am I gonna be taking steps toward those goals, just doing that process helps you really start to visualize what's happening in your month. You know, these goals are there to remind me of what I'm working on for the month, but really these are just here as the reminders. The actual action plan, the step-by-step, is actually happening here in the week by week breakdown. So at the start of, for example, week 1, I'm gonna look at things that I set aside right now in my week 1 breakdown. Okay, I gotta do client outreach and I gotta work on my website refresh. So at the start of week 1 of June, what I'm gonna do is I will, you know, put in all of my to-dos for that week, you know, just things, whatever. The events that I have, the things I gotta do for work, et cetera, are all gonna go in here. And then I'm also gonna look at this week by week breakdown and see, okay, these are the other 2 things related to my big picture goals that have to happen this week. I'm gonna schedule that in for a specific day. And that's how you take goals from a big monthly goal into literally the day by day to-do list. It's all getting broken down, first by month, then into a week, and then into the day by day. I hope that makes sense. The other thing that I'm gonna add in here off camera is just any events that I have going on for the month. I'm gonna just stick them into this week by week breakdown. Again, it's really just there as a reminder. For example, if I know in week 2, I'm gonna spend a couple days visiting a friend, let's say. I'm not, but let's say in week 2, I'm spending a couple of days visiting a friend. Maybe I would do one less goal-related task that week because I'll just have a little bit less capacity that week. So that's the purpose of adding in those events as well. So yeah, that is the week by week breakdown, but that is the June dashboard. And I think this is beautiful because I know it worked for me in May. If it ain't broke, you don't gotta fix it. Also, by the way, if you wanna see a step-by-step of how I designed this exact Notion dashboard, you can go to my May Plan With Me video from last month. In that video, I literally go step-by-step and show you how I came up with the concept for this template and why I designed it the way that I did. If you're into planning videos like this one, I do a Plan With Me video every single month, and I've got a lot of Notion videos coming up very soon. I just filmed one and it was so interesting. Even I was like, ooh. I mean, it came out of my brain, but I was like, oh my God, I feel like I got so many new ideas. Anyways, I got a lot of stuff coming up related to Notion and planning, so subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Bye.